had all but forgotten that song. And it's so joyful, this, if you want to be free, right? But I don't know about you, I don't actually feel that free to be free. Do you? Doesn't it kind of feel like the ceiling keeps lowering? It's good to keep our knees bent because we're going to need them. My people, by that I mean those that birthed me, and the ones who birthed them, and the ones who birthed them, were farmers and factory workers. They were German, Welsh, and Norwegian. As a rule, they were self-contained, controlled, and dutiful. As a people, they loved their families so much that they were committed that one day they might actually say the words. In short, they expressed emotions as readily and as often as one throws a manhole cover. And with just as much ease. So you see, I was trained in the way of holding things in. Couple that with a Catholic mother who had been strongly imprinted by teachings that the body could not be trusted and should be controlled, denied, or swallowed. The path to any kind of adult affirmation was through good manners and modest scholastic achievement. Modest, because too much was seen as a path toward having a good opinion of oneself, and God knows we wouldn't want to feel good about ourselves. That should be avoided at all costs. There is still a certain sadness around my heart about that. Because I can actually still picture myself. I can even feel the kid I was. And when Lynn said earlier, embrace your inner 5-year-old or put your 5-year-old next to you, I got so excited. I just felt my right leg start to swing and kind of kick the seat underneath me. Bang my foot a little bit. Because I can still, standing here, old as I am, I can still feel that kid. I remember my mom saying to me, it's so weird getting old because I feel the same. And then I look in the mirror and I think, who is that old woman? It's so real. So I still feel that kid that I was who would run and play and sing and dance just because, filled with aliveness and just letting it flow through me and out of me because, gosh, it was a day. And it wasn't too long, though, before there were disapproving looks and judgmental words. It's too loud. You shouldn't be singing, dancing. Why don't you do something that actually needs doing, Wendy? All of it, and it began to disconnect me unwittingly from the joy, from the gift, the fun of being in a body. And if that wasn't enough, and it was plenty, it was gracious plenty, it remains gracious plenty, I watched these people whose love I trusted, who cared for me, who kept me safe. I watched them live at a distance from their bodies. That's how James Joyce put it. Lived at a distance from their bodies. They moved to get work done, to accomplish things. Their bodies were a tool by which to earn an income, to birth and raise children, to make and eat meals. And any malady in that body was a betrayal. And any feeling was an irrelevant distraction or a temptation to keep at bay. Bodies were to be controlled, denied, and or judged, always. And so I too learned. I was shaped to live at a distance from my body. It is no wonder, friends, it is no wonder I was so drawn to the law. Oh, hello. A profession of denying the body, of arguing, of words, of if there is any repair, we fix it with money, or we incarcerate people. But what to do in those moments, in the moments that happen to all of us, when our life isn't working, when the relationship isn't going well, when the career isn't what you hoped, when there is a diagnosis that threatens perceived lifespan, when someone we love dies, all of the things. What do we do then when the words, when the mind exercises actually can't contain all of the feels in the body? That's what Lynn's is offering to us. That's what Interplay is about. And I'm telling you, I've been on my own journey on this. My healing happened through therapy, somatic therapy, and spiritual direction. This week, I was listening to an interview with Arundhati Roy. You may know her, East Indian author. She writes about justice and things that are unjust. And the interviewer very thoughtfully said this thing, and her answer really struck me, the question really struck me. The interview said, the thing is, I think what's seminal to your work, when you see injustice, you have not been able to look away. You've not been able to look away. Many people do look away. The interviewer said, how do you explain that? What do you think it is about you that makes you not flinch? And Arundhati Roy didn't miss a beat. She said immediately, actually, I think the point is that I do flinch when I see it. And most people don't flinch. They just accept it. They just accept it as a part of daily injustices. And the thing is that India is a society that is built on a social hierarchy, which is among the most cruel in the world, although goodness knows there's plenty of competition these days. She said, we have a situation where people are divided up hierarchically according to what is considered levels of purity and impurity, and the dehumanization of people who are considered outcasts, which has been actually institutionalized. So it's a society that accepts injustice as a given. See, in other words, this just wouldn't leave me. This wouldn't leave me, because what I think she's saying is that despite a pattern of injustice, despite the institutionalization of injustice, despite the fact that injustice is as common as mud, it doesn't matter. She still sees it, and it still registers as pain in her body, and her body knows the truth. Arundhati Roy is telling us that if you don't flinch, if you don't react, it's because you're numb. It's because you are not in a relationship with your body. She is telling us that if we pay attention to our body, we can register what's going on with us emotionally. And when we do, we know what's real. We know that our humanity cannot be legislated out of existence no matter who is in charge. We know that we need one another, that we are each other's, that we survive together or not at all. Now, we have known this since we were babies, since we were toddlers. Back then, we saw each other, and our body was our source of information. We might not remember that, but we sure remember seeing it, right? Who has not watched a toddler or baby utterly fascinated by their own feet? They're just laying there, and all of a sudden, whoop, up goes the leg, up goes the foot. Wow. And it's without judgment. I mean, they aren't working themselves into a lather about the size of their feet or the shape of their toes. They aren't complaining about a bad hair day or looking at the outfit somebody put them into and saying it makes their thighs look fat. They're just in it. They're just in it. They're just feeling it. They're feeling their feels and they're responding to it. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You know, I tell this story. It happened to me a long time ago. I was in a restaurant. It was kind of the diner type, you know, nothing fancy. And I was sitting there having a meal. And there was a family nearby. So there was a couple of parents. And there was a kid in the high chair. And I happened to see coming in, there was another family. And there was a little kid, a little kind of toddler, man, held kind of on the hip, kind of low. And these two toddlers, these two little kids saw each other. And you could see the light, you know, started smiling. And the one in the high chair just looked at this kid and reached into their mouth, did this, and pulled out a soggy French fry and handed it to the other toddler. We've seen this. We've seen this. And it's so fabulous because the kid saw the other kid and wanted to share. And that's what we know from when we're babies. So now let's not, sometimes you go a little literal on me, so let me pause here. The point, the invitation, the hope isn't actually that we're going to start reaching into our mouths, pulling out some sogged out bit of food to hand to each other. COVID's taught us a lot, right? But it is to return to our bodies, to our humanity, to our noticing, so that we again act from a place of belonging to and with each other. The way that we did without being taught when we were small, the way we were born to do, the way we did, all of us, before we all started living a short or long distance from our bodies. Joanna Macy, great teacher, Buddhist and environmentalist, now of blessed memory, urged us to stay connected to our feelings, our bodies, our body knowing. And in an interview some time ago now, some years ago, she spoke about the consequences of decisions that we're making now. Those decisions and the generational impact they're having on our planet. And the very well-prepared interviewer who'd listened and read all kinds of things from Joanna Macy said, but right, you want people to hold on to their grief. Isn't that right? And Joanna answered this way. She said, not really to hold on to it, as to not be afraid of it. Because grief, she said, if you're afraid of it, what you end up doing is you pave over it. You clamp it down. You shut it out. And that kind of apathy and closed down denial, she said, leads to our difficulty in looking at what we're doing to our world. She said our situation stems not from callous indifference or ignorance so much as it stems from our fear of pain. Our fear of pain. So Macy said, we got to learn. We have to learn to see how we are called not to run from discomfort and not to run from grief, of the feelings of outrage or fear. And that if we can be fearless, if we can be with our pain, it actually turns. It doesn't stay static. It only doesn't change, she said, if we refuse to look at it. But when we look at it, when we actually take it into our hands, when we can just be with it and keep breathing, it actually does turn. It turns to reveal its other face. The other face of our pain for the world is actually our love for the world. Our absolute inseparable connectedness with all of life. It is, as she knew, and I know, and I think we all know, it is, of course, from that place that we return to belonging. That possibilities, if there are any, begin to emerge, and that we companion each other. And we companion each other in the bounty, in the burden, and in the blessing that is our finitude. And so, beloveds, let's return to our bodies. Let's quit living at a distance. Let's quit making them enemies. Let's quit listening to the voices that told us what they weren't or what they were too much of. Let's return to our bodies in celebration of the reality that they house us in this life, that without them we are not alive, that those bodies are full of wisdom, that they are vehicles for belonging, and that in moving them in whatever way or ways we are able on any given day, we return to the wholeness and holiness that makes us a part of and not apart from this ecosystem that holds us all. That is my prayer, and it is a body prayer. May it be so.